Hello and welcome to the Life Illuminated podcast. I'm Maggie Kelly, and today I have the pleasure and the honor of welcoming medium Jenny Lee to our show. Jenny is an empathic psychic medium, so let's get started. I'm excited. Tell us a little bit more about you, Jenny. How did you get into this field? Just go for it.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm excited to be here. So my journey started with me not realizing what was going on. I should have known that I was a medium, but it didn't hit me until about 2018. I was actually watching an episode of the show The Dead Files, and the medium on that show was talking about how all mediums are empaths, but not all empaths are mediums. And I had already known for like about 10 years or so that I was an empath, that I had this ability to pick up on people's emotions more than just compassion, more than just body language. It was much deeper than that. So when she said that, I think I was folding clothes, and it just was like a bolt of lightning hit me, because it was like all these puzzle pieces fell into place, because I had experienced spirit my whole life, and I didn't realize that it meant that I was this title, you know?
So when you say I experienced spirit all my life, what does that look like? What did that look like?
I remember as a small child, maybe around 8, feeling like I wasn't alone when I should have been alone. And then over time, as a young adult, I was realizing that people that had passed on were there, more than just like a sense or a feeling. It happened with a friend of mine that had passed away when I was in high school. I just knew that he was sitting in the back of my car one day when my husband and I were on our honeymoon. And I knew that he was happy that we had gotten married, and he was happy for us. And around the same time, I had an experience like that with my great grandmother who had passed. Same thing. It was around our wedding time. She was coming to make sure I was making the right choice, as grandmothers do. And it was those experiences that should have been the key to me realizing that there was more to it than just, that this wasn't normal for most people.
We are all on our own path, and we get there
Yep.
when we get there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
The fact that you know now is the important piece.
absolutely.
Yeah. And so when you say, I knew he was sitting in the back seat, what is that like? Is it like an energetic feeling you get, or just a sense of knowing, or what?
It's a combination of things. And in the psychic world, we refer to them as the clairs. So there's all the different clairs that go with our senses. So there's there's a seeing, there's a hearing, there's smelling, tasting. It's all of our 5 senses plus an extra one, which is knowing. That's the claircognizance. So it started like that specific instance with my friend being in the car with us. It was started as knowing. And then it was as if I was hearing his thoughts in my head. And I knew that they weren't my thoughts. They were coming from somewhere else. So that's the clairaudience. It's like being able to hear, not with your ears, but in your mind, as if it's your thoughts, but they're not your thoughts.
Yes. And it's possible too, right? That some of us could have all the clairs. Some of us could have maybe 2. Some of us may have 4. Some of us probably don't know we have any of them, but we
Exactly.
Mostly all of us do have.
Yes, I think everybody's capable of using all of these skills, because we're spirit, right? I mean, really, we're only these temporary physical forms for a little while. And really, we are spirit. So we have all of these skills all the time. It's just whether we, first of all, acknowledge that they're there, and then learn how to use them.
Right. And so now that you've acknowledged that they're there, what do you do to use these skills now?
So now I am a professional medium. The majority of what I do is actually streamed live on a platform called Twitch, which started out as a gaming platform where nerds would go watch each other play video games. But now there's a lot of different things on there, including a tarot channel. So over the last 3.5 years, I've built a really beautiful, wonderful community through the Twitch platform where I stream on there giving readings. And then we also have become friends, and we're always having new people come and join us, and it's amazing. And through that, I've been able to build up my business where I offer private readings, and I also teach classes because I went to college to be an art teacher. So I was an art teacher for 8 years. I decided that I wanted to try to do this full time instead. So now I'm using my teaching skills to help people learn how to do this work too.
So, okay. So you mentioned Twitch and you said it's a tarot channel.
Yes. Well,
right?
It's like inside the platform of Twitch, there's different channels. Like think of
Okay.
it's like a television channel. So there's a tarot channel where the people that want to stream tarot will stream the tarot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do
Yeah.
you mostly do readings via tarot?
No, the majority of my readings are medium readings, but I do enjoy doing tarot. And when people want to have a tarot reading, then I'll offer that too.
Okay, so now tell me the difference. Tell us the audience the difference between, what comes through when you're putting down a tarot card and what comes through, and are they different? And, I've had both. I've had both.
Yeah. So a tarot reading for me, like if someone is coming to me and they have a question or they're looking for certain guidance, I know which one to do based on what they're looking for. So like if they have a specific question, like they want to know what to do about their career, I usually will do tarot, because with tarot, you can ask specific questions, you can read the cards and the way that they're with each other, the way that they're lined up together, and it can get you at least in the ballpark range of the answers you're looking for. Mm-hmm. With mediumship, you don't know who's going to come through, and you don't know what it is they want to tell you. So if someone wants to just connect with spirit, then that's what I'm going to do. Or if they have just want a general message, then mediumship is wonderful. So that's kind of the difference for me.
Okay. And then for you, the clairs are knowing and sensing?
I got them all. With mediumship, my biggest ones are seeing. I can see, I can visualize, I can see those images in my mind.
It isn't really visualizing though, is it?
No,
you're not forced the sight, because visualization to me implies that I have to be generative in some way.
No, this is like
mediumship is not, it's not visualization at all. It's you see a vision.
Yes, receiving a vision from spirit.
Receiving a vision from spirit.
Yes.
There you go.
And being able to see it in your mind's eye like it's a visualization.
And when you do that, you actually see color, form, detail.
It depends.
What do you see?
When I'm working with a deceased loved one on the other side, it can be very vague. It's sometimes just it could be just a simple form, or and a lot of times I feel like when I'm working with a deceased loved one, I'm picking up more on it cognitively, like just knowing it. Mm-hmm. But other energies that come through in a reading, like angels, for example, or like a higher dimensional kind of energy, it seems to me like those are the ones I can see much more clearly. And I don't really know why that is.
Yeah. And so you said you kind of had this is what's been going on in about 2018, I think you said.
Yeah.
So what did you do? I know you're on Twitch, but is that where you started?
I started looking around for a paranormal group in my area, actually. And I found one that had a medium in it already. So I hooked up with them, and I was able to kind of begin that learning with her. to kind of understand what was going on, and doing those paranormal investigations kind of helped me have the validation I needed to know that it wasn't just me. The first time that I was able to pick up on something for someone and she was like, that's exactly what happens, then it was the confirmation and the validation that this is for real and this is really happening to me, and it's not just me making something up. So then in 2020, I started taking classes.
And the classes are what, to help you hone the skill, or not the skill,
Yes.
the gift?
Yes. I started out with a medium named J. Marie, doing classes with her. And then I moved on to taking, once COVID happened, this everybody's story. When COVID happened, like everything changed, right? So then I started taking online classes with Cindy Kaza, and that was it. That's when I knew, like, this is for me. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I never looked back.
Yeah. And so have you had any experiences where you see things you really would prefer not to tell the client?
Those kinds of things are usually someone on the other side for them that they don't necessarily want to talk to.
Who's sending darts and things like that?
Well, like, for example, let's just give a hypothetical situation here of a sitter who had an uncle that was like a really bad person. And that is the person that comes through for them in the reading. So then I have to navigate that and ask them if they even want to talk to that person. So those are the kinds of things that I have to kind of be wary about.
And when people are coming to you, okay, so for the most part, they're looking for an answer to a question, and you're thinking tarot may be a better avenue for this person, as opposed to a psychic reading, which was, I'm not sure what I'm asking, but I'm thinking that the psychic reading is more like maybe future driven. Or is that
a lot of times? Well, I think with tarot, traditionally, a lot of times that is kind of like a fortune telling kind of thing. Like, what does my future hold? Rarely do I have someone ask that question. Usually it's kind of like, what's in store for me for the next month or so? And that's absolutely using the tarot for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then for the psychic piece, who comes to you for that? What are they looking for?
At this point, it's a wide variety of things. Some people want to hear from their loved ones on the other side that have passed for a whole gamut of different reasons. Some people are just curious to see what's going to come through for them. Some people are in a really dark place and they just need something to help them, to make them feel like they're not alone, that they've got some kind of purpose, that they can move forward. And then this is kind of going to be a little bit out there, but recently I've even had people that have had unexplained experiences come to me because they want to know what the heck was happening with them. And that's led down a whole different road with some extraterrestrial things. So the doors just keep getting wider and wider for my medium work.
Oh, is that right? And is that now that's your gift? I mean, would it have come through anyway? It seems to me like it's been knocking at your door and waiting for you to open it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you say you have some seeing and some knowing, kind of, right? And
yes.
I kind of feel like I have a smell thing.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Like
Absolutely.
I smell energy from people. I'm an energy too. I'm an energy healer.
Yeah.
But there are certain people who have distinctive smell for me. And
so is that like you've kind of built up a symbology of what different smells mean?
No, it's where you were in 2018 and before.
Oh.
Sort of like, this is odd.
Yeah.
But wow. And then I also have predicted major earthquakes.
Oh, wow.
The day before they happen. Like the tsunami in Japan and the earthquake caused that tsunami. I knew that was going to happen. And I was in the dentist chair when I felt it.
Oh, my goodness.
I sat up in the middle of the dental visit and I said, hold on one second. There's going to be a massive earthquake. I have no
Wow.
idea where, but it's going to be so destructive and there's going to be so much water. All I see is water. All I see is water with this
Wow.
earthquake. And the next day was the Japanese earthquake with the tsunami.
Did you totally freak out your dentist?
Yes, he called me the next day. He said, "Oh my God, I wouldn't have believed it if it didn't happen while you're sitting in my chair."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's I don't
Yeah.
have that as much anymore. So do you think the gift waxes and wanes, or is it just that we've stopped being tuned in?
I think it probably just depends. Some people definitely tune it out. They decide they don't want to know things like that. It scares them. Or, I do think that as far as the different types of experiences go, I do think that we kind of shift, and as we grow and learn, our skills kind of shift with it. It's never a static thing. It's always in motion. It's always moving. It's always changing.
Yes, and I think you're right about that. Like some people tune it out because it scares them. I wasn't afraid,
Hmm.
but I was like, well, why do I want to know this when I can't do anything about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to get a message. It's quite another to get a message that can be helpful before something happens, like that kind of thing. I mean, do I want to know just to know? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I? I don't know.
Some of those types of experiences, too, though, aren't necessarily even about what it is that you had a premonition about.
Mm.
Sometimes it's a little nugget, a little stepping stone for you to pursue something and move in a different direction. It's like a little signpost. Spirit is saying, "Hey, look here," and then hoping that you'll choose to pursue psychic gifts or whatever it might be. At least that's the way it seems to me in my experience.
Okay. All right. So tell us, the average lay listener, what do you feel is the distinction or differentiation between being psychic and being intuitive or having your intuition? What is there a distinction?
Between intuition and being psychic?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think so. Because I think every single person experiences intuition.
Mhm.
Because really, you can narrow that down to everybody at some point has a gut feeling about something. That's built into not only our spirit, but into our physical, biological bodies, because that's what has kept us alive for thousands and thousands of years, right? But being psychic is kind of taking that intuition and it's either already ramped up or you're learning how to ramp it up so that you can pick up on a lot more information than just a little hint of something.
Yeah, because as an energy healer, right, I'm dancing in the quantum field all day long, right? When I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing energy healings. And for me, it's a lot of sensing and feeling and
Yes.
it's all of that. The sensing, the feeling, and the knowing that energy is right there. And that's the moment at which I can guide the client to command that it leave, that there's no reason to hold on to whatever that entity might be and that they
Mm-hmm.
do the work. I'm just holding the space for that information to be disseminated through me to them.
Yeah.
Right? And so
Mm-hmm.
when you get messages, and I asked this a little earlier, do you get messages that are disturbing? And you said that it would maybe come from somebody they didn't want to talk to. But do you get messages that
Mm-hmm.
are disturbing that you impart that aren't really coming from a particular person, but I'm asking because there are times I get information. And I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I wonder sometimes, is it responsible to
Oh,
always
yes.
impart all, right? Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. I think that for me, I haven't had a lot of really disturbing messages come through, but I have had disturbing energies that weren't necessarily human. But I think for your question, there is a responsibility as the person receiving the information and relaying it to this for me, I'll just say the sitter. For you, it'd be your client probably, that we have to still be mindful of that person's beliefs, feelings, triggers, and we might not know all of those things, but as someone who's sensitive to somebody's energy, you can kind of tell probably what might be good or might be bad for that person. And figuring out if you feel like you have to tell someone something, figuring out the best way to say it, because we can always change the way that the message is coming through and still give the same information, but maybe it's not coming through. Maybe we don't say it as harshly as we heard it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. How accurate do you think tarot actually is?
Sometimes it feels like it has to do with the connection of the reader's energy and the sitter's energy. If those energies seem to be mingling and you feel like you're picking up on the information about the situation for that person, or how they're feeling about it, I think it can be extremely accurate. But sometimes that connection just isn't there, and it might be that the person that you're reading for is kind of closed off. They have their walls up. They don't want to give out a lot of information. They don't want to be open to everything. So then there's like a barrier there, which as, a person who picks up on other people's energy, when we see that, we have to respect it. We can't just go digging around in the places they don't want us to see. We have to be respectful for that. So sometimes a tarot reading can be a flop, just like anything else,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to our listeners who may think that they have a gift of one of the clairs. What recommend? Yeah. What do you recommend?
I think for every person, the journey is different, which I think that you kind of mentioned that earlier too. So for some people, reading about things is probably a great way. Some people need to take classes. Some people just need to keep experiencing things. Like it doesn't help them to read something, like they have to have that experience themselves. But great ways to, like, if you think that you have those abilities and you want to continue them, you want to pursue them, you want to strengthen them, there's all kinds of ways to do that. You can take classes, you can find YouTube videos, you can find a mentor. There's a ton of different ways to go about those things.
Especially now, right? I mean,
oh yeah,
things so accessible. And what about to the major skeptic? What do you say to them?
For skeptics, I understand them because I don't believe in anything till I experience it either. It's the experiential thing that is the thing that gets you down that path of looking for the answers. And if you've never had any experience before, there's no reason for you to look for any answers because you don't know it's not in your view. It's not in your viewpoint, in your worldview. Right. Yeah. So for me, if somebody doesn't believe in what I do, then that's fine.
Now, okay. So do you have other practices, other spiritual practices? Have you had spiritual practices before all of this? Like meditation, prayer, anything like that?
I didn't really start picking up on meditation until this is interesting. I took a mindfulness and meditation class as a teacher. It was one of our professional development days. So, teachers, if there's any teachers out there, I know that you will like to hear that we all think professional development days are garbage. This was actually a good one. I learned a lot of really great things in that class. And that was another one of those stepping stones that set me on this journey, because then I started doing meditation with my students, and some of them I could really tell it was helping them. And yeah, it was just another step in the journey.
Yeah, that was sort of the foundation of what I was getting at, because in my opinion, and you correct me if I'm off base, but in my opinion, if you already have a practice that gets you to quiet your mind a little, is it safe to assume that the possibility of feeling, seeing, smelling, tasting anything that spirit's trying to send is going to be more pronounced should you have already a foundational spiritual practice in play?
I definitely think that it is 100 million% beneficial. Yes. Because yeah, otherwise you're having those little flashes of things, little flashes of intuition, but you don't understand. You might not understand anything else about it. But when you can have those moments where you are clearing your mind of all the stuff from the day and all the things you have to do, then you go within and you look deeper and you try to figure out, where is this coming from? So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you're more connected to begin with when you have a
Yeah.
practice that has you
Hmm.
solve a monkey crazy mind.
Yep. Yeah.
So, okay. So, what advice would you give to our listener who may be sort of wondering if they've got a gift or two, or may want to dabble in the idea that they probably do but haven't experienced anything or anything like that?
So I really feel that spirit is always trying to show us the path or the way for us to pursue the things in our life that we are really important. So it's really just noticing and recognizing when you have a strange thing happen, when you have a weird synchronicity, when you have a sign, that that wasn't just, a butterfly, that was something more serious. That was something more, there was more to that. And then not ignoring it. So many people just ignore the things that caught their attention, that made them think for differently for a second, that, inspired them. They only give it so much attention, and then they're back to what I got to make for dinner tonight. So paying closer attention to the signs and synchronicities and weird moments that seem like they don't make any sense. It's all of those things are trying to get your attention to lead you where you need to be.
Do you think that we ignore some of that, not only just because we're busy, but also because we just don't believe, we think, oh, that was a fluke. And we just want to believe that spirit is actually right there with us all the time.
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of people experience that. And another thing is that, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it with other people. It's like they're worried about stigma or taboo or being ostracized for having a weird experience or having some strange premonition or, whatever it
Which
might
is
be.
such a shame, because the more we talk about it, the more we realize how normal it is.
Yep.
And the
It
more
should
that
be.
us become aware, then the greater the conversation and the more connection with spirit overall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, okay. Well, all right. How can people find you, Jenny?
So mediumjennylee.com, which is with an A, not an E. That is where you can find LEA is where you can
Jenny,
find
LEA is her last name.
Yes. That's where you can find everything you need to find about me, all of my social media links, my classes, my events. I have a mentorship program. I got private classes, and I'm on Twitch a lot during the week, and also have a YouTube channel. Plus, my husband and I do a podcast called the Witching Hours podcast, which I actually have the shirt on today. We actually have a show tonight. It's always on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It streams live on Twitch. It streams live on YouTube. And then after around the weekend time, it's live. It's up on all of the podcast platforms. So tonight we have a guest on talking about mediumship with as a paranormal investigator, plus trance channeling, which is something I also do. So I'm excited to talk to them about their experiences with that. So
What's trance
got a lot going on.
Yeah, what's
Uh,
trance channeling?
Trance is a way, it's a mediumship variant of mediumship where you're allowing the energy of whatever the spirit type of energy might be to come closer into your physical body so that your energies are blended more thoroughly, and you're not just relaying information. It's as if the spirit is speaking through you. It's like more of a flow instead of like, okay, I hear grandma said I love you. It's grandma saying I love you.
The actual person trying to get through, going through
Yes,
you and out.
it's a much more of a flow. And some trance mediums don't have any recollection of what's happening when that's going on. They're not conscious of it. And then some are, and it's kind of, it varies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wow. I could probably talk to you all day. It's fascinating to me. And I've always had it in the back of my mind, how do I hone this skill?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do to bring this to fruition, really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting to me to talk to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah. And I hope we have you back again in the future, Jenny.
Absolutely. I'd love to come back.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.